something that you always find is the sort of old school wisdom, whether it's from the Bible or it's from another biblical text or whatever, around all these different problems. There's a lot of wisdom there, right? People look at it like, oh, this is just, this was written thousands of years ago and it's not valid or whatever. Why do men want virgins? Men just want virgins because they're misogynists and they're sexist and they want to oppress women. And it's like, well, you can look at, like you said, you can pull up studies, you can pull up data, and you can be like, okay, well, look, we've literally got a chart.
How do you argue with that?
And it's like, okay, so maybe the people back in those days may not have been able to perfectly articulate the reason for certain norms and certain rules.
It was also very, very
and
different
ideas,
back then too, because we didn't have things like social media. Like men and women use social media very, very differently, don't we? Like men will use a camera and they'll point it outwards to take a picture of their car, a landscape. Women take a picture of themselves.
Yeah.
They turn the camera around the other way and they take selfies.
In every country too. In every country.
Yeah. Cross-culturally, every country. And, if you give women unlimited access to a screen where other men are on their screens as well, and they're showering these women with unlimited validation and attention. You're beautiful, you go girl, so strong and brave. It doesn't matter if they're a 2 or a 10, they all hear the same message. Even an average looking woman will be told online that she's amazing. And, with the addition of filters and angles and Spanx and all these other, new technologies and stuff like that, you can really goose the system. But women today have so much access to so much more than what we did 100 years ago. It's the same thing with men too. Men also have the same advantages and the same disadvantages. It's just that social media, I think, is used very, very differently by men and women. Like women will use it to amplify certain characteristics and traits, and men will use it for other. Like OnlyFans wouldn't exist if there wasn't Simps. If there wasn't a simp economy with men struggling with women, looking for attention and validation from women, giving them money for that, it just wouldn't exist. And you have these women now today who are making $50,000, $100,000 a month, taking pictures of themselves in ways that you can just go to Google and search for, or go to a porn site or something like that now, right?
Yeah, it's very weird. I mean, if we're talking numbers, then men are a bigger percentage of that problem, because for every one of those girls, there's hundreds of men who are paying for that individual to show them that. I don't know who all these men are, but they're clearly out there. Otherwise, there wouldn't be those figures wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, whenever I talk about that, I always have guys that chime in and they say, well, like, when are we going to hold these men accountable? And it's like, if you have a solution to simping, I would like to know what it is, because I don't know how to solve that problem. It's rampant. Like you're not going to stop guys from simping, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a weird time. It's a very weird time to be living in. I think another problem with the technology, and again, I think people who have been in long-term relationships, marriages for, let's say, 10 plus, certainly 15 plus years don't get, is just the level of the technological impact on both men and women. Yeah. Because another thing it does is it creates I would say it's like it creates a sense of artificial options. Maybe that's the best way to put it, right? So I think from the male perspective, if you're on Instagram in particular, but social media in general, and you're just seeing all these women all over the world, all these places, and you're interacting with some or whatever, okay, like, I don't know, myself, I have across social media, I must have around 700 to 800,000 female followers, right? So you can have this idea of like, oh, there's so many options, right? Or a girl, any cute girl can have 10,000 plus followers on Instagram.
Easily, yeah.
Easily, right? Some of them hundreds of thousands. And so it can have this idea, oh, I've got all these men, and men are liking and men are simping and they're commenting or whatever. And so it's like, oh, I have all these options of a potential boyfriend or a potential husband or whatever, not realizing that, no, like, there's a lot of guys who would be, they'll happily sleep with you, or, maybe they'll date you or not take you seriously or whatever. But out of that pool of men, what percentage who meet your bar, your female bar, are also like taking you seriously enough that they're like, oh, okay, I would actually consider marrying this woman and committing to her and so on. So I think there's this paradox of choice that can happen on both sides where people think like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I never settle, right? That's what I always say, you know, you never settle, never settle, never settle. And it's like, well, the reality is that people do settle, right? Like if you, if you're picking one thing, it means
concessions.
yes. If you're not, if you pick one thing, you know, if you go to a restaurant and you order something on the menu, it means you're not eating everything else that's on the menu.
If it tastes really good, it's probably not vegan, has a lot of sugar and some fat, I'm sure. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here. And pinned down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.